Have you ever noticed how the things we want most are never the ones that come easily? How the harder we try, the faster they seem to slip away. There is a truth in human desire that most people ignore. A truth so simple yet so powerful that it can change the way you live your life. The moment you stop needing someone, the moment you stop chasing approval, admiration, or affection, you step into a force that most people never understand. That force is detachment, and detachment is not coldness, nor is it indifference. Detachment is power. It is clarity. It is the understanding that your value does not come from someone else's recognition, and your happiness is not bound to anyone's actions but your own. Most people live their lives bound by invisible chains. They measure their worth by likes, by messages, by the fleeting attention of those around them. They confuse presence with power, giving endlessly, hoping that every small effort will be returned in the form of validation. And when it isn't, they feel broken, diminished, incomplete. They believe that to love someone is to surrender themselves, that to care deeply is to become dependent on someone else's feelings. But this is not love. This is captivity. This is the slow erosion of the soul under the weight of unbalanced expectation. Detachment begins not with people, but with yourself. It begins with understanding that no one can complete you, and no one can define you. Your mind has been trained to seek approval, to crave attention, to pursue what seems beyond reach. And yet in pursuit, you lose the most valuable thing you already possess, yourself. Every message you send, every gesture you offer, every moment you wait anxiously for a response is a thread of your freedom being slowly unraveled. The paradox is that the more you chase, the more the object of your desire retreats, and the more you give, the less you are respected. This is not punishment. This is human nature. Scarcity creates value. Absence creates longing. Mystery creates desire. To detach is to reclaim your freedom. To detach is to say silently but firmly that your peace is more important than their attention. That your sense of self is more sacred than anyone's perception of you. Detachment does not mean withdrawing from the world. It does not mean becoming cold or cruel. It means removing the emotional leash that binds you to someone else's actions. When you detach, the world reacts in ways that feel almost magical. People begin to notice the calm that was always within you, the quiet confidence that was invisible when you were desperate to be seen. They begin to wonder why you are not chasing, why you are not pleading, why you do not respond to their games with the urgency they expect. In that moment, you have reversed the roles of power. You have become the prize, not the pursuer. Your silence becomes louder than words, and your stillness becomes more compelling than movement. They cannot define your worth because your worth is independent. They cannot control your emotions because your emotions are no longer tied to them. And in this subtle shift, a profound transformation takes place, not only in how they perceive you, but in how you perceive yourself. Detachment teaches a fundamental truth about desire. Humans chase what they cannot have. Not because they are cruel or calculating, but because the mind seeks challenge. The mind seeks uncertainty. The mind is programmed to value what is rare, unpredictable, and mysterious. When something is easily obtained, it becomes ordinary. When someone is always available, their presence becomes mundane. But when something is just beyond reach, when it is untouched by need or desperation, it becomes fascinating, magnetic, irresistible. This is not manipulation. It is the natural law of attention, desire, and human psychology. And yet, detachment is not a tactic to be wielded for the purpose of controlling others. It is a philosophy to be embraced for the purpose of mastering yourself. The world will try to pull you into emotional wars, into patterns of reaction, into cycles of need and desperation. Detachment is the refusal to participate in these cycles. It is the understanding that your emotional state is sovereign. It is the realization that you cannot change other people's behavior, but you can change your response. And in mastering your response, you master your life. There is a fear that comes with detachment. The fear of loneliness, the fear of being unseen, the fear of rejection. But these fears are illusions created by attachment itself. They are not reflections of reality, but mirrors of the mind. When you detach, you confront these fears directly. You see them for what they are. You understand that the only approval you truly need is your own. The only validation that matters is the recognition of your own worth. And when you reach this understanding, you become untouchable. Not because you are indifferent, but because you are complete. Not because you are distant, but because you are free. Detachment is a form of resistance to the world's subtle manipulations. People will attempt to sway your emotions through praise, through anger, through affection, through withdrawal. They will seek to control you by creating uncertainty, by withholding attention, by rewarding compliance. Those who are not detached fall into the trap every time, but the detached mind remains unmoved. The detached heart remains unshaken. The detached soul remains sovereign. And in this sovereignty lies the greatest power that exists. The power to live without being enslaved by desire. The power to love without losing yourself. The power to exist without depending on the affirmation of others. Most people will never understand this. They will continue to chase, to beg, to give endlessly without reciprocity. They will confuse desperation with devotion and obsession with affection. But you, the detached, operate on a different plane. Your calm is magnetic, your silence is commanding, your freedom is irresistible. They do not realize it yet, but you have become a force they cannot touch. And the irony is that this force is not born from effort or manipulation. It is born from clarity, from self-respect, from the refusal to surrender your emotional sovereignty. Detachment is also a teacher. It teaches you to observe without reacting, to love without needing, to engage with life without clinging to outcomes. It teaches patience, resilience, and self-mastery. It teaches that the world does not define you, that other people's choices are not a reflection of your value, and that true desire is born from wholeness, not lack. The detached person does not seek to fill a void. The detached person does not seek to prove themselves. The detached person simply exists, complete and uncompromised, and in that existence they create the conditions for authentic connection, attraction, and influence. The people you once chased will notice this transformation, though they may not understand it. Their attention will shift, not because of your pursuit, but because of your absence of need. Their fascination will grow, not because you are playing a game, but because you are no longer participating in the game they expected you to play. In this subtle reversal, desire is born naturally, effortlessly, without coercion, without strategy, without manipulation. It is the natural response to presence that is whole, calm, and unattached. Do not mistake detachment for cynicism. It is not the refusal to care, but the refusal to be controlled by care. It is not the rejection of emotion, but the refusal to sacrifice your sovereignty for the sake of another's attention. It is not the avoidance of connection, but the cultivation of self-completeness so that connection may occur authentically. Those who practice detachment are not cold. They are alive in ways others cannot comprehend. Their energy is unshakable, their judgment clear, their value independent. The path to detachment begins with observation. Notice your impulses. Notice your need for approval. Notice the ways in which your peace is conditional. And then, without judgment, release it. Release the compulsion to control outcomes. Release the habit of chasing validation. Release the fear of absence. Step back and allow life, people, and events to unfold without your interference. And in that release, something remarkable occurs. You become magnetic, not because you are trying to attract, but because you are free. You become irresistible, not because you are performing, but because you are whole. You become powerful, not because you manipulate, but because you cannot be manipulated. Detachment is a test of character. It is easy to say I am detached when things go your way. It is difficult to remain detached when the world acts unpredictably, when people act coldly, when desire itself seems to punish you. Yet, the detached do not waver. They do not plead. They do not bargain. They do not react with desperation. Their power is internal. Their control is absolute in the one domain that truly matters, themselves. And from this mastery flows every other form of influence. Those who need nothing, demand nothing, and seek nothing are the ones who hold the most. They are the ones others follow, admire, and chase, not because they try to command, but because they simply are. The final lesson of detachment is simple yet profound. The world cannot define your worth, others cannot dictate your value, and no one can control your emotions unless you allow it. To detach is to reclaim ownership of your mind, your heart, and your life. It is to step into a state of sovereignty so complete that external forces have no leverage over you. And once you inhabit this state fully, desire itself aligns with you. People are drawn to you naturally, not because of strategy, but because your presence is authentic, whole, and independent. You are not chasing life. Life is moving around you with a magnetic inevitability. Remember this always: the one who needs nothing controls everything. The one who seeks nothing commands attention. The one who is unattached becomes irresistible. The one who is whole alone never loses anything in the presence of others. This is not a trick. It is not manipulation. It is not a strategy to force people into desire. It is a truth of human nature, a law as immutable as gravity. Those who understand it will live with freedom, clarity, and power. Those who ignore it will continue to chase what slips away, giving their energy to the world while surrendering their own. So when you feel the urge to chase, to beg, to respond to the demands of attention, pause, breathe. Recognize that your power lies not in pursuit, but in detachment. Understand that your value is inherent, your peace is sovereign, and your presence alone is enough to command respect and fascination. Step back, release the need, and let life unfold around you. In that release, you will find freedom. In that freedom, you will find magnetism. In that magnetism, you will find the fulfillment that comes not from being wanted, but from being whole. The power of detachment is the power to live unshackled by desire, unbound by expectation, and unclaimed by the emotional whims of others. It is the understanding that what is meant for you will seek you naturally, that love cannot be forced, and that influence is born from presence, not pleading. To live detached is to live free. And to live free is to live with a force that no one can resist, no one can control, and no one can diminish. In the end, the truth is simple. Do not chase, do not beg, do not need. Be complete, be sovereign, be unattached. And the world will move toward you, because the force of detachment is the force of natural law. It is the force of self-mastery. It is the force of irresistible power. It is the force of freedom. The one who needs nothing controls everything.